The Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, has faulted the police, saying that they were too quick to deny and downplay reports that over 160 members of a church were kidnapped in the Kaduna area, accusing security officials of trying to cover up rising insecurity in the state rather than confronting it. The association maintains that the victims were genuine worshippers who were abducted by armed bandits during a religious gathering, insisting that the police's response was insensitive and dismissive of the victims' suffering.
Let's also tell you that the religious body has called for the immediate and unconditional release of its abducted worshippers. It urged security agencies and relevant authorities to strengthen coordination, improve verification process, and ensure that credible reports from communities are treated with the seriousness that they deserve. Well, let's have our guest who joins us this morning, Chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Northern States and FCT, Reverend Joseph Hayab, joins us this morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, and good morning to all our viewers.
Good morning. It's quite sad that we have another incident or another case in our hands. Well, CAN insisted that more than 160 church members were kidnapped, while the police continue to deny that any abduction took place. So can you share with us why these accounts were different, even though the police has come forth to agree eventually that truly there were kidnappings that did take place? What may have led them to say initially that there wasn't, if at all?
I'm a pastor. I don't work for the police. I'm only a citizen that believe we should support the police to succeed. So your question will be better answered by the police. They know why they chose to say what they said. But to me, as a faith leader, I would say it is sad. If my house is on fire and I call you and say, fire, fire, you don't tell me that it's not true, there's no fire. You have to come and see and be sure there's no fire. Even when they claim to have come, how, when did they come, and who came with them? Stories are flying and coming out now. You see, that's the trouble with dealing with locals. Be careful what you tell them. They would tell their brothers. When those who came and told the locals to deny that nothing happened, how can they deny? Well, their friends, their brothers, their parents are in the bush. So this way, the mix-up that happened. It's difficult to lay your hand exactly why the denial in the first place. But simply, now that reality has been confirmed, people were kidnapped, people are still in the hands of the criminals or terrorists. All we want is go after them, make sure you rescue them. Citizens must feel secure, citizens must be protected, and that's all citizens are asking from government.
Okay, so do we have an actual number of the people who were kidnapped?
We've said about numbers severally. I'm not sure there's a problem with numbers, so let's not mix up the conversation. We don't have a problem with number. On the day they were taken, we know the number that they were taken. 11 people came back. We know the difference between the number they were taken and the 11 people that came back. So if you take out 11 from 177, you have a number. I think we should downplay this overemphasizing on number, but talk about lives that are suffering in the bush.
And talking about the lives that are suffering in the bush, what is the latest report? Have there been any communication with those who abducted these church members, and what's the latest effort on rescue?
For us, we have not had communications with them. We don't know if the security have done that, so we don't want to say what we don't have knowledge about. But most importantly, yesterday, the governor came to the community. The governor met with the people. The governor appealed to the people. And the governor assured the people that efforts are in top gear to make sure that our brothers and sisters, our wives, our daughters, our mothers, our parents that are in the bush will be rescued. And that's what we look forward to. But they have not had contact with us, so we can't say anything outside that. But the governor himself came, he saw and tested what the pains, the agony of staying this without your loved one that the people are facing.
How would you analyze the response of the government so far? Yes, you did say the governor has come and has assured you, but would you say that that has given hope to you, to the citizens?
Yeah, you see, the governor in the past few years have done well. He has shown commitment to restoration of peace comparing to what was happening in the past. So there is this confidence and love and trust that people have for the governor. What led to this mix-up of denial is something we are not really sure of who did what. But whoever misled the government to have accepted the denial in the first place did all of us and especially the government a disservice. And so he owes us apology, because I remember when this story came out, my humble self, I suffered so much attack on social media. Ignorant people who knew nothing were insulting me. They say, Khan, liar. They say, Hayab, liar. Now, who is the liar? But you know, they are not men enough to own up and say, we are sorry, we lied against you or we misunderstood you. They don't have that understanding, but that's okay. I'm a pastor. Jesus, even during his earthly ministry, suffered such allegations and accusations, but he remained firm. So, but that's not the matter. The most important thing is that people trust the governor. People see what he has been doing. This particular incident was actually an unfortunate one, and the mistake also came up with the denial by the police. So this is one of the challenges we face. But I believe that the coming may have doused the attention. Don't forget, in Christian teaching, we teach our people forgiveness. We teach our people when whoever wrongs you, if you come in humility and say, I'm sorry, take it. So I don't think we have the time to begin to get worried what they did in the past. Now that they have accepted, what we want to see is the ongoing action. When will I go back to tell people who accuse me that, no, they lied against me? I don't think we have the time. What I am interested in now is my prayer, my support, my commitment is to work with whoever to just get these people back, since the truth is now open.
Okay, I just want to mention that after the last incident, the number one citizen, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, had mentioned in a detailed press statement that he would advise and rather make clear that schools and churches should move away from areas that are very close to the forest reserves. Is this a thought that Khan is looking into? Maybe move closer to the city where you have more people?
I don't understand that, but let me help probably do some little teaching to those who advise the president. This community is a community that has been existing for a long time. So how do they move their church? This community is a community that has been existing for a long time. How will they move their schools? Unless government want to bring all of us to the city, I don't know whether the city has space that will contain the entire citizens of the place. You see, what makes us Nigeria is because we have a large and a vast land, a big country with large citizens, almost 230-something to 250 million people. That's what makes us Nigeria. So all we need to do as Nigerians is to know the size of our country, to know the length of our land, and to provide security to cover every territory of our country, to provide services that will make everybody who lives within this country, geographical place called Nigeria, the comfort he needs. To suggest that people should move, it's not possible. I'm sorry, we're not discussing Papere, but let me use Papere as an example. Papere is a remote area in Niger State. That's why today people would boldly beat their chest and say Niger State has the largest landmark in Nigeria. If you can proudly say that, then provide the same security for that largest landmark. Don't just proudly say you have the largest and you're not doing anything to cover it. So some advice sometimes you just wonder, do they understand that these villagers have been there? That is where they farm, that's where they live, that's where they brought up their children who eventually come to be powerful people in the city. So the villages must be. There's no way we can turn all the villages into city, because those villages are in the remote area. It's just that we've not been doing good to our remote area for a long time. We centered what we call development in the urban place, and most of our villages have nothing. That's why we could offer such advice, but I'm not sure that advice is tenable. Unless we don't want the children of the poor to be educated, we don't want the people in the village to serve God, then we can go with that advice. Look at the picture you are showing and look at the communities. When will these people come and move again? To where? They've been there for decades. So to move to where? So just provide services and then guide the people on the role they will play to help you ensure that if there's anything, they tell you. But you see, this is where trust comes in. With the way deniers came up, how will people trust tomorrow to even tell stories? But as I said earlier, we have a forgiving spirit. We will teach people to remember that, look, whoever wrongs you, even if 77 times, just forgive him. So we will find a way to help people understand this and keep trust and tell what they know. But to suggest that people should move their churches or play their schools, I'm not sure we understand what we call Nigeria.
Now, Reverend Hayab, yesterday on this show, we did speak to a security expert, and he did suggest some sort of community organization in terms of security, providing CCTVs. What advice has CAN given to its members that are exposed to, that live in areas that are exposed to violent extremist groups and this sort of security lapses?
No, you are not clear now. You were going low. You started speaking, I can hear you, but the last words I didn't hear you.
Oh,
Can you come
I said, what advice or in what ways can organizing its members and these churches to be more aware and more security conscious in terms of the way they organize? For example, are churches fitted with CCTVs? Is there an early warning system? Is there connection to the state's police command in case incidents like this happen?
Let me begin with the early warning system. I think our mechanism takes care of the early warning system. That's why when we hear things and know things faster, because when our people start getting suspicious of something, they communicate through us and through us to the system, and the system works. So our early warning mechanism is so organized that we can get information faster, we can disseminate it to the right people. What they do with it and how they do with it is the problem. For example, this community that you see, a week before this incident, on Sunday, bandits went there and took away 20 people and kept them and demanded for money. And about 2.7 million was given to the bandit before the 20 people returned. These issues were reported, but so, you know, in the country, people don't believe themselves, or the system seems not to believe our people, and so no actions were taken. If not, the next Sunday, police would have been everywhere. Even when this one happened and they were told, you saw what happened. So that's where the problem is. But we also have offered a lot of trainings and seminars and conferences to remind church members that, look, we have to also provide security for our churches by either using our youth or using our retired military or security members or people, adults who are reasonable, who are sensible, to guard our church. But you see, that's where leadership comes in. There are some leaders who up to today believe that, why do we need to guard ourselves? And then they will go in and everybody want to be in church. No, I want to appeal to all Christian GOs, to all Christian heads of denominations. Now look, it is not good for us every day to just come and be lamenting that our people are taken. Can we do this simple thing? There's not even anywhere that is safe. Both in the city and in the rural area, everywhere is exposed to danger. So churches everywhere must have a system where, as church is going on, whether it is choir practice, whether it is Bible study, certain group of people, their job is to watch over. And let me do some little spiritual teaching here. It is ignorant for you to think that if you don't sit inside the church and then you are guarding outside, you don't receive the blessing of the church. No, the fact is that you receive the same blessing with the person who sits and listen to the prayers and listen to the teaching. You may not hear it, but then you will be rotating. Today you are the one watching. Tomorrow you will be sitting in church. Next tomorrow another person will be watching. Others will be sitting in church. We must develop this as our own self contribution to securing ourselves. If we have people around watching and we saw these people coming, someone can raise alarm. Either we come out to protect ourselves or we move. If they want to pick, they may not pick the kind of number they are having. So church people watching me, I beg you, don't spiritualize these things. These are human things. Provide security for your church. There's nothing wrong about that. But you must also understand that some of these rural churches are poor, because if you talk about providing security, the part that works for them is the volunteer. But to provide it, and even you talk about CCTV, who's supposed to provide that? You know how difficult these things are. We just hope that our security will wake up, we will take certain measures and ensure we prevent these things before they happen, not until they happen and we're asking what can we do. There are so many things attached to this, which I may not want to speak all the time, but one thing is certain, that every church must wake up to also watch over her territory, because we cannot be paying bandits. Those money would provide some of the things we are suggesting now.
Okay, I still want to follow up with what you said. You've made some very strong suggestions. Now, the guest who also made these suggestions yesterday, Dr. Abdullahi Awal, he was of the view that these attacks were politically motivated and that they were meant to make the government look bad, that the reports of this attack is to make the government look bad. He does not necessarily, he's saying it's a 50-50. He doesn't necessarily believe that 3 churches were attacked. That yes, he believes people were kidnapped, but that it was 3 churches at the same time doesn't seem probable. So what would your response be to him or people who have the same sentiment that it's more political than anything else? Or do you agree with that?
I'm not hearing you. There's a problem with the voice from your studio.
Oh, so sorry about that. I'll try to say it again.
No, now you're back. Now you're back.
Okay. Our guest yesterday also made, beyond the suggestion he made, he was of the view that these attacks were politically motivated to make the government look bad, especially in the wake of the genocide claims that have now in some measure involved the United States of America. So he says it's to make the government look bad. He doesn't completely agree that all 3 churches were attacked at the same time and the kidnappers kidnapped people at the same time. He believes it's a 50-50 chance and it's likely probable that this happened. So my question to you is your response to him or others who share same sentiments, and asking if you
These are
agree
the
with him.
analysts that create problem for Nigeria. Do you think that these local villagers will go and connive with someone to kidnap their friends, their family members for some politics? See, I quite agree with some part of what he's saying. The politics has nothing to do with the church or the people. Probably some rivals or some enemies may sponsor some criminals or some terrorists to dent the government image. But let me answer that clearly. For us as Christians in Kaduna State, they have failed and failed woefully. We love Uba, we trust Uba, we agree with Uba. He's a human being, he may make mistakes, but we cannot destroy him because of some kind of selfish attitude of some greedy politicians. People who sponsor those kind of things were in power. We saw they couldn't even attend to people when people were in need. So we don't care about that. But so his insinuation may have some things that we need to think about, but to say that, no, that's the last thing the church would ever dream of or allow to happen. How can I allow my mother to be in the bush because of some political issues? I think this is clearly out of place. If those who are doing it to stir anger and to justify what Trump says, they don't belong to us. But I'm not sure. They've been kidnapping Christians in churches before Trump made his statement. I think that man needs to, if he's watching me, needs to examine his mind and his head to know that in public statements, you have to be careful saying certain things that will just further provoke anger. How on earth will you see? And from his name, you make us start creating meaning. But I forgive him for his ignorance. I can tell you nobody would have thought of that. But if another enemy, for political reason, is trying that, then I've said here he failed. We will not distrust Uba just because of that. Uba have tried. Uba have brought back peace in Kaduna. Uba is making effort. He may not be perfect, but at least compare him to others. You will give him a B, and then give others probably, and keep them on F. So I think we must clap for Uba for this. So I'm not sure we belong to that thinking. Our own is those who think they want to torment people to create division will not have us as partners. But let me add to this. There has been some credible intelligence in the last few weeks, or if not months, where we have been told that these criminals want to attack Niger, Kogi, and Kwara State, and especially Christians to provoke anger. But you see, probably if that works, probably they are still in some since Kaduna State and the middle of Kaduna and southern Kaduna are like, they have a great number of Christians. They may have chosen to come to do this, but we refuse to be provoked. We are instead determined to cooperate with government, to cooperate with security agencies, to ensure that there is sustainable peace and we secure our places. But the error that actually happened of denial was something we didn't like because it shows someone is pretending. And that's why we didn't like that.
All right.
Those who are misleading the governor.
All right, Reverend, as we wrap up this conversation, I just want to get your thoughts. I mean, if we go back to the time of King Artaxerxes, way back, a prophet or a man of God, otherwise known as Nehemiah, was going to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. And the likes of Sanballat, who happened to be the enemies, didn't want that to happen. But it turned out that Nehemiah and the men had to, on one hand, have a weapon, while on the other hand, they had to carry out the work. So do you think it's high time that Christians also have like some Christian police in churches, especially in that area, so they can protect themselves? After all, the same Bible says, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar and what belongs to God to God. So I don't know, what is Khan thinking? Are you thinking towards that direction?
I believe after anchoring this program, we'll look for a church for you to add to your work by preaching.
I may not need one.
Thank you very much.
It's fine.
Joe.
What's your thought?
But you know, we have to also look at the environment we are operating. In Nigeria today, when you ask young men to carry guns or carry den weapons or carry whatever for protection, tomorrow police will just come around them up and say they have caught gun runners. And then present them on TV, that gun runners, and nobody will defend them that they were just protecting their church. So these are part of the things we have to understand. We do understand what you are saying, and we appreciate it, and we are thinking that way, but we have to also understand the way the things run in Nigeria. Because most of those they parade on your televisions as gun runners were just probably some innocent young children who were angry because their parents were attacked and came out with guns to secure their community, and there's nobody to arrest, and then they come and arrest them and parade them as gun runners. So you end up not knowing the difference between true gun runners and people who are just freedom fighters protecting the environment. So, and so many things. So we would look at some of these suggestions. We know about it, but we have to also consider what happens in our country and things. So Nehemiah in his time, probably the government and leaders of his time couldn't come after him. But in this time, I tell you, if you are not careful, you will see more people paraded every day that they are gun runners, and people will say, they are the killers. So they are killing and accusing others, not knowing that they just came to protect their church. But I still want to suggest to churches that we must not go to sleep by all packing ourselves into the building. Let's do what is right to secure our people. Let's show our parents, look, we can leave all our old age men and little children in church to be praying, where we, the young ones, the strong, agile ones, stand outside to ensure we watch over. Then we can divide ourselves into days. So it's not that every day you are not in church. There's a day you are in, there's a day you are out. We must worship in safety before we enjoy worship. So thank you for that candid advice. And we will continue to look for ways. But let's also tell people that we know the implication of that. So many young people today, there's an existing court case. These are part of it. Someone saw people are killing his people and he reacted, and he's been accused of killing others. So these are part of it. So we have to be careful about some of this sometimes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend J.J. Hayab, Chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, FCTN 19 Northern States. It was an absolute pleasure speaking with you this morning. Thanks for your
Thank you
insights.
very much. And we pray for security or safety in Nigeria everywhere.
Amen.